This video is going to be for any educators out there working in a childcare centre, whether you're in a public centre or family daycare, doesn't matter, or for parents out there who struggle with morning transitions, dropping your child off at daycare for the day. So my name is Leisa. I'm an early childhood educator. I did work in a large public childcare centre, and I am now running my own family daycare business. I am a mother to 4 children who have been unschooled for the past 11 years. And I will be speaking to you today from my experiences and perspectives as somebody who has dealt with this kind of thing before. So as I just said, having worked in a public childcare centre, I did get to see all kinds of morning drop-offs, and this transitioning period for me, it took a lot of time to get used to. Coming into this profession as an unschooling parent who didn't put my children into childcare, yet I did experience having my children in school for quite some time, my eldest, and I dealt with a little bit of separation anxiety with him throughout the years. And I also had a lot of experience with this in my last job working at a childcare centre. So what I want to talk about today is the methods and strategies that I tried and that worked for me and for parents as an educator who had to help these children in the mornings who were quite distraught when they would get dropped off in the mornings by their parents. My hope for this video is that it could help some of you out there. Like I said, whether you're an educator who you just feel so overwhelmed by these morning transition periods and you don't know really how to handle it, or whether you're a parent and it's just heartbreaking for you to leave your child screaming and crying. So I feel that whoever is meant to hear this video will. So it will apply to anybody who really could benefit from what I have to share today. So when I first started working in public childcare, I was immediately, like literally day 1, day 2, forced into having to cope myself and to help other children cope with the separation from their parents in the mornings. I went on to become a lead educator, running my own room of 22 children. Now, I've seen children separated from their parents from as young as 6 months to 4, going on 5 years. And yes, it goes all the way up to that age. I didn't really notice it in children as young as 6 months because the separation anxiety, meaning the child senses or knows that their parent's leaving, I notice this usually a bit older, like, from 12 months could be a little younger, could be a little older. Now, not all children are going to experience this separation anxiety. There are a lot of factors to take into account. Does this child have a strong emotional attachment to their parent figure? If they do, and they still show separation anxiety, this doesn't mean that they don't have that secure attachment. It means that they do, and they have formed that attachment to that parent. This can also be the case with unhealthy attachments. Children who don't have that proper attachment are going to fret and get into a state of anxiety when that parent's leaving, because it can still feel like they haven't properly attached to that parent. So as I moved up through the years, different ages of children, working in childcare or having different times where I worked with the different ages, I learned, I observed, and I developed strategies for helping children to transition during the morning drop-offs. Now, this didn't really fully come into effect for me until I did run my own room. And one of the first things that I planned on doing when I became the group leader in my room was to handle these morning transitions differently to how I had come into it in my job. So how I had seen other educators doing it. And these ways didn't feel right to me. So often a lot of educators feel the need to distract children when they get dropped off, to get them, away from the door that the parent's leaving through, to take them away to another area, to give them something to do, to try to talk to them until they're calm. And this is not going to work for many reasons. The first is that if a child's already feeling that separation anxiety, pulling them further away from that parent as they're leaving is only going to heighten that anxiety. Secondly, when a child is going through emotional distress, they are switched off to anything else around them. All they care about in that moment is mum gonna come back and get me. So trying to distract these children it's kind of trying to force them out of their emotional experience, which they're not able to do at that age. 3, that child is going through a trauma and they need help to process that trauma without suppressing it and encouraging them to go into a state of denial by these distractions and trying to make them to feel better. This invalidates their experience, and instead of letting them know that what they're feeling is normal and okay, it's letting them know that they shouldn't feel that way when the reality is that they should, because this is a traumatic experience for a child to fret when their parent leaves. Now, when I have experienced many, many different things. I've had children bash glass doors until I thought they were gonna smash into pieces. I've had children bite me, scratch me, hit me, punch me, all sorts of things during these morning transitions, none of which I reacted to negatively. So my background in parenting has helped me develop strategies for being present and available during a child's emotional outburst. So I actually went through similar things with my own children during meltdowns where I was scratched and bitten and hit and all sorts of things. And so one of the ways that I helped some of these children to change their behaviors upon the morning drop-off was by being present and not reacting badly to how they were trying to express this. So there would be children who I would arrive at work and they'd be screaming their heads off, and they'd be outside with the other educators and the door was shut and they were bashing on this door. That sort of taught me that when I went into to lead my own room, one thing that I did, and it really, really helped, was rather than let the parent bring the child outside and shut the door so that that child had to be outside, I would take the child in towards the goodbye, towards that last door that their parent was leaving through, to reduce the number of barriers between the child and their parent. There was only one barrier, one door. Yes, it was going to be painful. Yes, it was going to hurt that child. But it would hurt them more when they could not have access to the door that their parent was leaving through. Now, when I started to do this, I also encouraged parents, and I do encourage parents, to never sneak away unless you know that your child is occupied and happy. But first saying, I'm going now, goodbye, and letting that child know. Now, as I encouraged parents to do this, it didn't mean that that child was not going to get upset as their parent left, but there was a full meeting of the reality and the experience. There was an honesty there. So what I would do is I would say to the child, now another thing, children like to know what's going on at all times. They don't like to be blindsided and things just happen that are out of their control without any warning. So I would say to the child, we're going to walk mummy to the front door now, and mummy's going, and you're going to stay with me today, and mummy's going to come back later. It's okay if you get upset. I know that you might get upset, but that's what we're going to do, okay? And if you want to get upset, you can. And I would go to the front door and I would encourage the parent to have a proper goodbye, whether that child was happy to walk away or clinging at them as they left the door. There would be, the goal was to have as little time restraining the child as possible. So often part of my job when I first started working at a childcare centre was to restrain these children. Otherwise, they would run inside after the parent. And often this all happened outside. So this had to stop. So what I started doing was making it so I didn't have to restrain children at all. It was a goodbye and there was a quick opening of the door, the parent going through, the door shutting, hands off. That child could kick and scream, bang that door. It wasn't a glass door, it was the inside wooden door. So it didn't matter. They could bang on it and scream. They weren't going to break that door. The main thing is that they weren't being restrained. I may have had to hold them for that split second so they didn't get their hands caught in the door as mum or dad were leaving, but that was it. I found that this drastically reduced the duration of these meltdowns. Some children, they stopped entirely and they ended up happily saying goodbye to their parent in the morning with no resistance at all. because there was no secret hidden agenda to hold them as mum snuck away. It was a planned thing. It was very planned and organised. So that's the first thing that I started doing. Another thing is that I encourage parents too, and I did this, is if you know that your child is going to have a drawn out, dragged out goodbye, as harsh as it might sound, it is better to make the goodbye as quick as possible. The reason for this is staying, every time you try and leave and they get that anxiety and you stay and then you do that again, you're prolonging the opportunity for them to process the event and heal from it and move on. That anxiety is in their body that whole time. So the longer you're staying, if it works, it works. If you think staying and hanging around for some time, you can see that helps the child to be able to let you go, by all means. But if you are noticing that you feel the need to stay longer and longer because there's a hope there that you're going to get your child to feel happy before you leave, you may need to reassess and accept that they're not going to feel happy. So hanging around for a few minutes, then saying, I'm going to go now, and allowing the educator to help you leave so that they can comfort that child and help them process their feelings. I've seen this happen myself with long drop-offs. It kind of equals the same amount of time that child then takes to process. So a quick goodbye, healthy quick goodbye, means a quick processing time. A long drawn out goodbye equals a long drawn out process of moving forward. Not always, but I did notice this in some cases. Another thing that I found really helped was if children can bring something of their own to daycare. There is this kind of overall general rule in daycare centres that you don't bring your own belongings. It's frowned upon, and children often get into trouble if they bring a toy car or something. It gets put up on a shelf, especially if there's a conflict or a fight over it, and they're made to share all the toys at daycare. So what I found is that when children are being dropped off in the mornings, they need a replacement for that parent. They need something that represents who they are and gives them a sense of control and identity. I did talk a little bit about this in one of my previous videos, but I want to go into a bit more depth around this. So when children come with their own toy and they want to show that off to the other children, and if you can organise a bunch of children, especially those ones that are having difficulty being dropped off in the mornings, if you can get them to also bring their own toy, what will happen is they will start looking forward to coming in the morning because they want to show that toy to their friends. Now, this in no way is saying that if you feel in your heart that daycare or childcare is not the right place for your child, then don't take them. But if you have no choice and there's no way around these morning drop-offs, then give them a toy to bring, something that it's okay that there's a risk of it getting lost or damaged, because they are going to let you go more easily in the morning if they have something of their own, because that's going to give them a sense of security and meaning throughout the day. I noticed that they would hold on to this toy all day long because it made them feel safe and happy. The reality is children don't feel safe when their parent leaves them somewhere. This is unavoidable. Unless they have formed a secure attachment to the educator, or they have something else they are attached to, like something that belongs to them. So this is actually, I do encourage this. Now, going back a bit to what I just said about some of you not having a choice as to drop your child off. The last thing I do want to say with morning drop-offs, if you have a feeling in your body or your intuition or some part of you is saying, I want to take my child home today with me, whether that's permanent thing or just for that day, there's a message that's often given to parents that is, no, they need to get used to this. They need longer hours so that they get used to being dropped off. They need more days here so they get used to being dropped off. Now, yes, that can help them get used to being there in the environment, but it's not necessarily really going to fix the whole morning drop-off thing. It may. But I encourage the opposite. If that doesn't feel right for you as a parent and you feel in every part of your body, I just want to take my child back home, I don't want to leave them here, please listen to yourself. Don't listen to others that are telling you the only way to get through this is to just leave your child, no matter how you feel. This is what's best for them. What's best for them is this. You know what's best for your child better than anyone. If there are days or even a whole week that you feel in your heart that you just really want to take your child home and you don't want to separate from them, do it. Take them home. It's okay. Don't worry about what anyone says or thinks. They're your child. You do what's best for you and for them. I hope this video has helped in some way. I may write a little bit about this in a blog or a Facebook post. Let me know in the comments what you think, or if there's anything else that you want me to add to this topic, and I would be very happy to do that. Much love to you all. Bye.